order, and if we could stand for a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before roll call, and I'm going to do your election.
St. Louis all day.
Perhaps we should do roll call or something.
Okay.
So we'll know that who's present for the election?
Yeah. Okay.
Drive around, so they can keep it there.
Ron Braun. Absent. Jamie Bowman. Here. Frank Myers.
Here.
Frank Roth.
Here.
George Weiner.
Here.
Ed Luttrell.
Here.
Nikki Kedden.
Here.
Bill Rogers.
Here.
Joan, we have a quorum.
Okay. First thing we have to do that is not on the agenda is election of officers. So, welcome to your first meeting, and we need to elect a new chair and vice chair. Do I have any nominations from the floor? Anyone? Anyone?
Don't look at me, I'm Liz.
I don't think that's fair for me to.
Well,
Yeah.
well, and we had thought to postpone it till you people had gotten a chance to, to get your feet wet, but I am way past my term, and there is no term limits for serving on landmarks, but there is a term limit for chairs and vice chairs. So I have reached my end of being a chair, so we need to elect someone to take my place tonight. So
Just to clarify, you can't run,
I can't run as the chair.
So who's
and
vice chair?
who's vice chair currently?
We don't, currently, we don't
There
have
is
one.
no
Sam
vice chair.
Sampson was the vice chair, and he
Okay.
has left and moved to Louisiana.
Got it.
So.
Okay.
So,
We got two
Frank,
senior members here, we need two people, so it's pretty.
yeah. Frank, would you be willing to chair this?
Even if it's just temporary?
I'd be willing to chair it till the end of my term, which comes up in about 6 months, yes. And by that time, the newer people will be familiar with everyone on the board and make a fair election, really.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have, somebody else needs to nominate besides me. So would you like to nominate?
Yes, I'll nominate.
Okay, do we have a second for that nomination?
Second.
All those in favor of nominating Frank as the chair of Landmarks, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Frank, you are the chair. Now we need a vice chair.
Nominate George. I don't want it. George Weiner. Don't want it.
Okay, who,
Okay,
if George
now.
doesn't, who else would care to do that job?
I'll nominate Ed, and since he's new and wants to be big involved.
Okay, you can't repeat as
As
chairman.
chair.
Can you
Vice chair,
serve as vice chair?
as long as it's not consecutive
Yes,
state.
it's
yeah.
not, yes, I
Okay.
could.
That'll work. There we go.
Nominate Nikki then as vice chair.
Okay, we have a nomination. Do we have a second to that?
Second that.
Okay, all those in favor of me as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Frank, it's all yours.
I didn't come prepared to be
Yeah.
chair of the meeting, but I suppose I can do that.
When does your term come up? Mr. Myers?
Well, he just,
I think you're good till August, aren't you?
What?
Aren't you good till August?
Yes.
Light reading.
Okay, I thank you for your vote, and as I said, I will do it too until the end of my term, reluctantly. I'm not in favor of staying on it for a long term. But that should give the newer members a chance to get acquainted with us and have a good election then in August.
Okay.
First item is a welcome to the new members, and we're happy to have you on our board and having the committee up, or the commission up to strength again. I'm sure that looking at the names and backgrounds of the people nominated and appointed, it's going to be a big time for the Landmarks Committee. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda for February 27th.
I move we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion to approve and second to the agenda of February 27th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda approved. Approval of the minutes of the December 19th meeting. You all have you all had an opportunity to read those minutes?
I'm sorry? I've got some extra copies here. If anybody needs them.
This is, here's February and December, and here's another copy of February and December.
Chairman, we do not have the January 4th and the 23rd, but I do have the February 15th. That needs to be corrected on the approval of minutes.
Are there any other comments or corrections?
Well, I don't have any, I move to accept the minutes as presented.
With the corrections?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Motion been made to accept the minutes of the December 19th meeting with corrections. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, getting into the new business. The first item on the agenda there is an application for a park sign to be erected in the North Main Street Park.
We do have the minutes from February the 15th.
But you don't have them on the agenda.
It's not on the
No,
agenda.
you've got January 15th.
No, I've got January 23rd.
And
I wrote down the wrong meeting date. So we can either move to accept these tonight or wait till the next meeting.
Let's hold those till the next meeting. Everyone
Okay.
has a chance to review them.
that's a good idea.
Brenda, what can you tell us about the application for this new sign?
Let's see, Mr. Bukite is here to represent the sign for the park board.
Hi, my name is Mark Buck. I'm the Vice Chair of the Parks and Recreation Board. We got our sign made for the Main Street Park down the corner of Main and Jefferson, and it's sitting right there. That's it. So, thank you. It's been a long time coming, but I think it worked well for us. Is it going to be on the building? No, it'll be Katy corner to the lot of Main and Jefferson. Yeah, this high off the ground. Yeah, about 3.5 feet.
Kind of post.
Cedar. We'll take a. I could, yeah. Essentially, it'll be another board like this that's ripped down the center, and then they'll use the sections of that for the legs of the sign.
Will it extend above that sign?
Pardon me?
Will the post extend above
No.
that sign?
They'll be, they'll be flush with it.
Yeah.
And if you can.
Will it be low enough so that a vehicle coming out Jefferson
Yeah,
can
the sign
see
itself's
over?
only, sign itself's only gonna be about 3.5 feet high, at the top of the sign. And then we'll have, bushes and, shrubs around the bottom of it.
Set back approximately how many feet off the corner there?
I'm not sure exactly how far back. I mean, it'll be close enough to the point where you'll be able to see it, but it's not gonna sit way back.
Well, like Frank just said, a slight difference, when you come up to that corner there on Jefferson, looking north on Main to see if traffic coming or anything.
Sign will be about this
Yeah.
high. You'll be able to see over the top of it. Should be no problem. And if you want that. It's gonna be right here in this corner, right here.
I'm sure there's city ordinances that he'll have to follow as far as site and all that.
Right, yeah, it's, like I said, it's gonna be low enough you won't.
Right. Well, them trees grew fast.
Hey, good fertilizer.
Yeah. I move to approve the sign on, for the North Main Street Park.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the sign on the North Main Street Park. Is there any discussion? No call a vote. Those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. The second application is for a proposed dog park located on a vacant lot
You need that?
in the third block of North Third Street. And for chain link fence to, around the perimeter of the lot.
I'm trying to get the fencing for the dog park. We're looking at the pool fencing for the city pool. Might be able to be donated for that. So I was wondering if that would be acceptable.
Express. I talked to the city administrator today, and we're discussing the raising of the park, the pool in the park. And since we'll no longer have use of that 8-foot chain link fence up there, which is quite large, it will hold quite a few animals.
Yeah.
If he could find the right people to come up and help the city take it out, move it, and they can re-erect it on their own property, we're willing to donate that fence to them. If that would be sufficient.
And that is an 8-foot
Yeah.
fence.
That's
It's
what,
it's a tall fence.
What we have in the application is.
This
6
came
foot.
about afterwards, so it's
Yeah.
just something for you to
Yeah.
consider if that would be feasible for, and acceptable to the commission that is on the table. So,
Is it all banged up?
no, it's in pretty good shape, unbelievably.
The one he described in his application, he had green coating.
Yeah, a
Is that the
green
protection
vinyl.
For the dog,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah, and to make it more,
right, so you can overlook
Natural,
that with the
yeah.
one up at the park?
yeah, because it'd be free.
Okay, well, we still want the protection for the dog.
Yeah.
And
The-
will this
The main reason for the green was so it looked more natural.
aesthetic, okay.
yeah.
Will you have enough to cover the same amount that you've got on your drawing here?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
I don't think so. 8 feet seems like maybe we wouldn't like that on the, right on the street side. I would have a little concern about having, 8 feet of front fencing right on the street. That if we could do maybe the back and the sides and do something lower.
That may be,
That would
That
be
would-
a little more aesthetically pleasing.
well, for the amount of distance that he's wanting to cover, there's not enough fence there anyway. So it would probably, away from the street, be more applicable back there and maybe something shorter and maybe easily accessible on the other two sides. But the reason, I just found out today is the reason I wanted to
Right.
make you aware of it and the fact that the city is willing to work with them on this project. So, whatever you guys decide you want to do with it, that's
So is this just city property? I mean, and
Buyout property.
Buyout property from the flood.
Okay. I think it would be okay if it's set off to the setback, like even
yeah.
10 or 15 feet.
I think we need better
from-
drawings. You know, our guidelines here doesn't really like chain link fence. Well, okay at the sides and the back, but up front, it's kind of not approved, but, you know, I think we can work with you. But we like to, I think we talked, some of us talked before, we like to see it kind of set back and maybe some bushes just to break
Yeah.
the chain link look.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking.
That'd be
So
fine.
They don't slam, you know, put it up against the sidewalk, so maybe you can draw just a little bit more of what you have and get a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the survey of it to actually get the perimeter of it.
But, you know, I think if we got it 15 feet off the sidewalk and put a few bushes just to break it up, and like you said, I don't think a 12-foot or 8-footer that would look pretty industrial.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, would be my concern. I think it's admirable to, number one, to take on and put the fence there, and then to reutilize something that would otherwise probably be thrown away. But I just hate the idea of that 8-foot fence right on the sidewalk. So,
You're right, it does.
yeah,
And maybe you can cut it. Maybe you can take that one and cut that fence and put a rail on top to get more aesthetic looking and, you know.
You
and,
might be able to make the perimeter larger too.
yeah,
Could be like 4-foot
Yeah.
high then.
vegetation in front
Yeah, just
to
some bushes.
some bushes or some kind of growth.
Well, the last picture we have in the packet is more of a square, sort of.
It's a square,
But then
and
this
the-
front picture is an angle up according to the lot there.
There's a creek that curves around
Yeah, I know. I know. But this last picture we got is way up front compared to along that creek then.
Have you considered the fact that there is a gully right off to the, on the south, east or
Yeah.
southwest corner? And the flow,
Oh,
the
yeah.
creek's gonna have to be kept open,
Yeah.
but yet the dogs can't get out through it, so it's a problem I'm sure you can handle.
Yeah, I think I was down there when you had one of your little dog parks and you came to your little meetings and you gave us an idea what was gonna go. And then I don't think in high water, that creek does get high and has got high. But I think where you kinda showed me and some people that were there, you're not gonna even, can't even get close to that area. But I know in a good rain, that gully backs up.
Pretty quick.
So what's the approximate depth of the fence line you're gonna use?
Well, the property itself was about 150 feet deep. So give 15 feet for the front and then probably another 15 or so feet, so 120 feet deep.
You stay back in the back about 15 foot so they get the mowers.
Is there an opening in the fence that mowers could get in?
I'm
and
gonna
out?
use an 8-foot long fence, and it's gonna be like a double gate, that way they can get in through, and then close that, and then open the second gate,
Okay.
so that the dogs or whatever couldn't get out.
So that's the drawing you have here?
That's-
Yes.
yeah.
There'll be a double gate here, they can close, open every. Yeah, I think if you just measured your fence up and then you brought us a different drawing showing the setback from the street, just a little, you know, like, have some measurements here.
Yeah.
I think we can get some bushes out front, you know, just so it doesn't look like a commercial storage place. I'm sure that maybe he can adopt a sign like this sign, where we keep these signs all about looking the same in town, you know.
So would you use the green vinyl coated on the stuff on, printing on Third Street then?
I could do
And
that.
then this other fence, and then would you paint it, or, because right now it's silver, correct?
And-
Got the
yeah.
pinhole?
Mhm.
Would you find a way to blend them together somehow, or
Yeah.
can you paint that kind of fence? I don't know, I'm not a fence you
I'm
can't.
sure there's a,
You have to.
So you can just paint it green and have the vinyl at the front and the green at the back.
Pretty much have to roll it on though.
And really, if it falls off, I assume maybe an 8 foot, you can get a straighter fence right anyway, and just cut it to the
Exactly.
contour.
Right.
Is there any further discussion?
Well, I have a question about the gate opening. I mean, just aesthetically, wouldn't it be better to have the gate opening like from this aerial view? From like maybe closer to the side? I don't know, because that's just gonna be kind
Yeah, I
of
agree.
ugly.
I agree. That's something I
It's,
thought too.
it's right up front. Like, can that be on the side a little bit?
In other words, if you shifted it like to the right, maybe.
Yeah,
so
put it
it's
in the
up
corner
on
so
trees
it doesn't
more.
have to build the
Yeah, I
corner,
can-
you know.
Right, maybe
Yeah.
closer to, because, yeah, it would save money too, because it would be getting rid of an extra
You know, you
corner.
can incorporate it into the corner,
Yeah.
so it's not like bang right out in the middle.
Like
yeah,
if you had
yeah,
it
I like that idea.
right here
Using the
by
corner.
this gully thing,
Right.
those trees there would kind of hide it too, because it's just gonna be this big pin,
Yeah.
you know? And, it just looked nice.
I think there's 2 driveway sweeps in that sidewalk right there, otherwise that sidewalk is probably 7 inches tall. If you go, there's 2 driveway sweeps, and one of them is closer to the Washington Street side of that.
Because when I drove by,
Yeah.
there's nice big trees there,
Oh, it's
and
beautiful.
it
Yeah.
could be, it could look really
Yeah.
good. But I think it would be cheaper and it would look nicer. And if you set it back a little bit too, I don't know, it would hide it.
It would, yeah,
You know?
it would hide it.
And you, because you can tell by the picture that there's plenty there to kind of, it would disguise it.
Yeah.
I might suggest too that the gate, you say it's going to be an 8-foot gate.
Yes.
That's what you
That's,
said.
how much of it is the person bringing the dog in going to have to open to get in? He doesn't need 8 feet wide to get the dog in.
Well, before the meeting, we were discussing the gate and having a smaller gate, like,
And
added on to the 8 foot.
you've answered my question. I mean,
Yeah.
that, to me, you wouldn't want that big
Yeah.
fence to
To open
have to
up.
open.
Yeah.
But they have to be able to get in with the motors.
Yeah, that's what,
Right.
So the point, if you have the 2 fences, one can stay where it's in unless they come and open it, and just have the one with the latch where they can admit their dogs. Does that make sense? Because if you have a smaller one, they won't be able to get in the car.
Yeah.
You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of thought, I'm sure when you get done here, you'll go over it, but I could see where you could just put a nice gate without having the double gates, and then put 4-foot wide gates for the dogs, and then the equipment doesn't need to go through 2 gates, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And then
That's
you could
it.
sit, you wouldn't have cattle guard gates, you know, I don't.
If
the
you had a
big-
separate, like, area for the dogs to go in, and you could,
Right, or just
Right.
put a gate here for the equipment, one, and then put little 4-footers, you know, like the high school's got for football thing, you go in,
Yeah.
and then it wouldn't look so, maybe even get it off to the side, you keep his property over,
well, I was wondering if that would infringe on those people's property.
if he goes to the property line, but you know, if he stays 15 feet off. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, so be high.
Mhm.
I'd like to see the picture of your gates and see just a little bit better drawing, maybe you could go to Buckeyes or somewhere and take some pictures, because
Yeah, and I would think you would want to use those if there's 2 rail or driveway
aprons or,
yeah,
Or
options to
sweeps.
go, to come in, that you'd want to use those to pull the mower up. So, you know, place that according to where those are at, and then the gateway for people and dogs could be,
just separate.
you know, separate, you know.
You think? Okay.
I think it's just gonna be more expensive to do that.
Okay.
So if you put, like he was talking about the 2 gates, one larger one small, say 36-inch gate, and the other larger one,
Mhm.
if they're 4 foot, then the pedestrians, all they gotta do is open the little 36-inch gate, come in with the dogs, you know, open the other one and go in. And then whenever they're there to, you know, mow, whatnot, they can just open both gates out.
Well, if you drew it a little bit better, where we can see your
Yeah.
idea, we know.
Yeah.
Right now, we see a big square in the middle with, there could be cattle gates for all
Yeah.
we know, you know, we can't
Yeah.
really tell what you've got here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you know, I'm a member of the park board, and I've heard you discuss it before, and you've talked to other people that have dog parks like this, so I know there's a lot more thought went in it than it shows here, so you need to kind of show what you know on your drawings, and I think that's a little bit. I have a little discussion on the, I noticed nobody signed it down here, and I know the properties, are you going through the park board, the city park to get this property and letting them take care of it? Because usually on the buyout property, somebody has to sign for it for 3 years, and that person has to live in the city limits. Have you been through all that?
I don't have.
Okay, you're looking into that yet?
We
Because
weren't aware of that.
Could that be a question that Brenda looks into? Because it is city
they'll maintain it, but as
property
soon as he
right now.
leases it, they don't.
City property for city use, so I don't
It's-
think that
it's-
we have to sign an agreement to maintain ourselves.
There's some rules. I know there's quite a bit of rules. I did it myself on 2 of the properties. And they do say something about, you know, they don't want city aldermen to get it or city officials to get it, so they kind of exclude them. And there's some wording on it, you know, that he needs to look into. And somebody's got to sign for it, and then there's got to be liability insurance. I don't think the city can use their liability insurance. They kind of protect it. I just, he'll look into it, I presume, but
Is this a
this is
city project, though?
well, I don't think it's considered. You know, the city will maintain it if nobody's taking care of it. As soon as somebody leases it and takes responsibility for it, the city doesn't mow it anymore.
Well, there's a question
My
that's
Eagle
come up
project?
here that I don't think we can answer. Who is responsible for this?
Yeah.
Who has signed off on it? I was under the assumption it was a city
Well, it's not something.
project,
Yeah.
and it's nothing that we're gonna settle around this table tonight. I would ask that Brenda
And
look into that.
I think we need to move to table this discussion till next month, and that maybe we can get some answers to these questions that we have.
Yeah, I just brought it up to help.
Is there
them
any
out.
time sensitivity? Is this, you know,
They wanted it done by April, which he's kind of cutting it because of sports and plays and stuff. But the main thing was the structure of the fence that we can use. So that was the main question.
Well, we do need, if there is a motion to approve, it's got to be fairly complex
Yeah.
because you've suggested a great deal of changes.
yeah.
The motion to table it may be more appropriate because then it could come in with the changes as we've discussed.
Better details.
And
And we'd be willing to have another meeting just to
Right.
get that.
we could have a
resolved.
special meeting to consider it as soon as you have the revised.
Okay.
Brenda can cut through a lot of that red tape real quick. She's good at it.
I just
So-
want them to be aware, so we.
We're not aware of any leasing of the property.
Yeah, I've got the contract here that I had to fill out. Now Brenda might say, since you're, but it's a project that's got a title to it, right? What is the title of this gonna be? The
Project?
An Eagle, like the
Dog
dog
park?
park, yeah, St. John Dog Park. And I got the application here, I was gonna let him look at, but I just wanted to let you know, that there's a lot you gotta go through yet before you tear down a fence.
So we want clarification on the setback and the positioning of the fence in relationship to the gully and sight lines and the gates. Is
Yeah,
that,
just some
is
picture,
that,
right.
Better drawings.
Better
Better
drawings,
drawings.
just,
with where the gates are gonna be placed?
And we'll ask our coordinator to check into the issue
Of
who
who's-
needs to sign for it, so
Right.
that it's appropriate use of the buyout property.
Right.
So do we need a second on that motion that we can make?
We have a motion to table
I'll
the,
second.
we have a motion and a second to table the application until further information is presented.
Okay, can I just ask one question? From a timing, you need to have this in by April, is that correct?
It doesn't need to be done by April, that was the original deadline.
Okay, so I'm saying if he's taking that off around the pool, they'll have to demo the pool before they can take the fence off, right?
Well,
So I don't know what
we've
the-
already, in fact, I asked the city administrator to pull, they were gonna go up and start on that probably tomorrow since it was gonna, there's one of those rain things they can do. You know, it's when they can't do anything else. I've asked him to hold off until we find out if you would, if it's acceptable and if you would want it. So there's two conditions. If you want the free fence, fine.
Yeah.
And if it's acceptable to the Landmarks Commission for it to be put up, maybe on the back, along the creek side and on the very back of it. And that way the two visibility, the highest visibility parts of the fence will be whatever you want to put up.
So if you can let us know when you've got these questions answered,
All right.
we can have a special meeting, so you don't have to wait till the March meeting.
All right.
Okay.
I would say since it's in my ward, I'd talk to Brenda for you, but I don't think that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, you just ask her and she'll have all your answers for you, what you need to do and what you don't have to do.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we
Yeah.
have a motion and a second to table the application. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much
Thank
for
you.
coming in. It
Thank you.
sounds like a good project.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Good luck with it.
Good idea.
Okay, the next application is for it's from the Bulldog House Museum, and the request to erect additional fence.
Sorry about that. So I understand you had questions about the gates last time, is that correct?
Yes, there was a question about the length of the gate, being that it's only about 4 feet, the fence is only about 4 feet from the curb, and the fence is 5 feet long. And that is a very busy street.
Market Street, yeah.
Yeah.
We will not, we will adjust the size of the gate so that it will not extend into the street. And the other thing about the gates, they're to give access to the mower primarily, and any big trucks that would have to come in to do repairs. That gate will not be generally open. We'll use the gate on the Main Street side of the Linden House, the Lemire House, for the people to come in and out. The main purpose of it is to have an enclosed play space in the Indian Village that children won't follow projectiles and balls and things into the street.
Right.
She's got the gate hinges, so they hinge to open into the street?
We can hinge them inside. I don't have a problem with that.
That would,
I think if she hinged to the inside, it could be as big as they want it.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
depends on what they want to put next to the fence.
Right.
We
And
can
all I
have them
to go
open
by is the
inside, yeah.
sketch that they
No.
gave
Yeah.
us.
So you think if she hinged them to the inside, the 5 foot would be fine?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's no problem with that.
you'd want to anyway.
Right,
You will have a lot.
I have one question.
sir.
The fence that looks like it's almost attached to the telephone building, but it says gap 2 to 3 inches. Is that correct?
That's, yeah.
Is any of that telephone company property?
There is no easement, and I've picked up this project just in the last couple days, so, our property line, we won't go over the telephone company line.
Well, the reason because I worked down there in their building for over 25 years.
Yeah.
So the reason I wanted because in '93, we actually sandbagged completely around the building to save it.
Okay,
So, I don't know what the exact property line there. I was told at one time we had 10-foot property from the edge of the building towards the Bolduc house.
okay,
Now, I don't know that, I was only told that by one of the guys who's lived here all his life. He worked for the phone company.
right.
So I don't know if that's true or not. It
Well-
might be something that needs to be checked into because,
I have the the plat map here. I don't know, or you should have that too. Does that answer you?
In the
I mean,
plans, the real estate plans for the Great River Road, those boundaries are indicated. And as you'll notice, this particular lot where we're putting the fence now was meant for parking.
Right.
There's a cutout over the entire length of that
Right.
property. But I think those questions on the dimensions can be answered just by looking at the plans.
Okay.
Which shows that the telephone company's property line looks to be the edge of the building.
That's what it looks like.
But that makes it difficult to maintain.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we were going to leave a place where, you know, their garden and the mower and everything was accessible. The meter for the gas is there. But I'm open to working with everybody as a good neighbor, you know.
I'm not representing the
Yeah.
phone company, don't misunderstand. All I'm saying is that I do remember that when we sandbagged, we came out so many feet, built our sandbag walls and put the
Yeah.
pumps on the inside, just to say, because there's vital communication
Yes.
issues there with
Right.
hospital, police, and,
Right.
and everything, well, not just to
course,
mention day-to-day business.
We hope that we don't have to do
I
that.
do too.
You know, right there.
I hope
and,
so too, but.
I would hope that in the case that we did, that the Boulder House would certainly
We would
allow you to-
sandbag, yes.
We would sandbag
Well, I
right
mean-
on
They
along
take the
with
fence
us.
down.
Absolutely. We,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
We wanna be good
I'm just
neighbors. I mean,
raising it
that's
as a-
not-
Well,
As a
that's-
potential,
Let's make a decision on which is the best way to resolve that. Do we want the coordinator to check into where the property line is, or do we want the Bolduc property who submitted it to find out where it is and let us know? But what do you think is the proper procedure there? It's got to be resolved, obviously.
But if it's built on the wrong property, it's not our fault anyway. It would
Right.
be totally hers, so I don't think we should care.
Yeah,
Right?
I agree.
yeah.
I think
So
it's
if she wants to take the gamble,
Right,
Take
butt
the
up
gamble.
against the building, it's her gamble, yeah, we're here to approve the fence.
yeah.
not the-
Yeah.
I agree.
That if there's any property easement issues,
We'll
that
take-
would be between,
we'll take care
between
of
the
it.
Boulder House and the
phone company.
telephone company.
I agree.
So,
I mean, Brenda might have some insight on it right away, just with city ordinance. Even if the property line is right next to the building, you still need a 5-foot easement or something.
Not
from
on
the building.
commercial, I don't think.
No, but we do require, for the building permit, we'll require the plat showing any easements there.
Right, and they'll need to get a building permit.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
So it will go through an additional review.
I don't think it's our,
Well, the fence is exactly
It's an
identical to the
extension.
Lemuel house. It will just extend.
Yeah, and it's the same as the fence across the street at Tim Conley's property.
right, which is a womanized plank. Have you ever thought about, you know, I know you tried to whitewash the building, you ever thought about whitewashing the fence or anything like that, or is it just?
I'd rather not
See,
have that
I
much
know.
work in my
I
life.
was- Yeah, I was
'Cause-
just saying, you know, something that could be a little bit done different, because
Tom Sawyer is not, you know?
Yeah.
he was crazy, yeah. But this fence is gonna mean a lot to everybody, and they're gonna try to make their fence like it. I think it looks good, I think it's a good plan.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fence as submitted under one condition, that they hinge away from the street,
It's fine.
and otherwise, I think that's good.
No.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next application is for to erect a fence on the portion of 331 North Main Street. It's a vacant lot, now occupied by an auto salvage yard.
Georgia Winger, 235 Main. I own the property at 331 Main. I'd like to extend my fence It's gonna be the same material as the fence that's in front of the building, the metal fence. It's just strong panel, 5 foot tall. Panels are 5 foot, and I keep it about 10 inches off the ground. I let the rabbits and squirrels and the air and whatever you run underneath it. So it would look just like the front, just it'd be going down the side there.
I'm going to ask the coordinator to make sure the records or the minutes reflect the fact that Mr. Weiner has vacated his position at the table and is acting to present the project, not to vote on it.
And this, the fence will look just as the fence
Yes.
is there?
Same.
Would this be an
Yes.
extension of that
Yes.
fence?
Same color and everything, it's tan.
Were you required to build this fence by the city, or is this just under your own? Both. I noticed in the application, it says the Board of Aldermen
What they require.
does not, aren't required to approve it. Is that what everybody else sees right there?
Yeah, I saw that too.
So does the project require approval from Board of Aldermen? Says no,
Does not.
so it doesn't, wow, that kind of, gets me kind of funny.
Would you repeat that, please?
I noticed here it says, does the project require approval of the Board of Aldermen, and it's marked no. He said that, when I asked him if he was required, he said, is it his own decision or somebody else? And he said both. I'm kind of curious who the both is. Because we approved this, we got the last say over it, and I don't know if that's,
Well, it's my understanding, as the liaison for the Board of Aldermen, that the fence that Brenda had suggested would comply with both the commission and the Board of Aldermen's needs to satisfy said violations of the previous act. So, having said that, no, there would not be any need to go before the Board of Aldermen.
The question I had was not with the Board of Aldermen, with the planning and zoning, because at one time, I know there was a special use permit allowing the use of that property as an auto salvage yard. And that special use permit was granted, a long time ago. Do you recall when it was, George? It must have been in 95 or something like that. But it specified that he would clean up the brush within the yard and make the fence. I'm not saying that that's not our purview, but if there is a question of what we can do, I think it's with the Planning and Zoning Board. Does it require a special use permit in that, with the zoning of that area?
The special use permit for his business on North Main, on the other side of the creek.
On the other side of the creek,
Yes.
it's was a separate issue.
Yes, but this was also required as a supplemental condition to that special use permit, that he also extend the fence across his property. What the Landmarks Commission is charged to do is to approve the type of fence and the placement of the fence. Once that is
Period.
approved, it does not need to go back for approval to the Board of Aldermen.
Exactly.
Okay.
That seems,
Thanks for the clarification on that, because it,
yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was
Yeah.
looked into more.
It's
than
been a
just
little
us
muddy
agreeing
for a
with
while.
the fence.
Yeah.
I wanted to,
but there will be posts in this one. It won't be just set up as it has sometimes in the past.
Yeah, that's just it's gonna be posts. The posts are gonna be on 8-foot centers. Gonna be 2x4s going across the back and then 10 be screwed to that.
Mr. Chairman, he will be required to get a building permit, so it will be inspected.
Any further discussion?
And one question, and again, it's just an idea, but would green work better than something that's like a Forest Service green that makes it just blend into the background? Would that make it just look better than tan?
His color blend's pretty good. I live right
It does,
close to
okay.
it. It's a
Yeah.
light tan and
It's an earth tone.
yeah, it
Okay.
looks.
It matches the building.
Yeah,
Right,
and I think if
yeah,
you went
it's
down
a
there
pleasant
now, it
color.
certainly
Really
matches,
matches, yeah.
really matches everything in the spring.
It's
You
a
might
good
think,
idea.
oh, well, green might be better, but it certainly matches what's there now.
I guess somebody approved the fence before, right? I was there when he bought it, or,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
But it's a nice tan, and it doesn't, he mentions metal, it doesn't look like that, you know, it's a nice looking metal. I mean, I didn't even see a colored picture of it in here, he's got a black and white,
Yeah.
but it,
It satisfies all the requirements.
yeah, and it looks, I live in there, and it looks good to me.
And since it is just an extension of an existing fence, whether that fence was ever approved by Landmarks or not, it would seem to me that it would look odd if you got a different fence. I
It
think.
would.
Yeah. I move that we approve the extension fence.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the application as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. The next application is for 55 South Third Street, which is the old jail, and it's for the windows, replacement of the windows. Who is representing the city
I
on this
am
one?
representing the city on this one. The mayor cannot be present tonight.
Yeah.
So I hope I can answer all the questions.
Yeah, he said you were the one to talk to.
Yes. Do I need to go up to the podium?
No, you can do
For
that
the,
on the table.
this is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll find out. The windows are being special made to match what is there. It's wood, and it will be the same size that is there. The only difference is going to be, it will be routed out a little bit deeper along here to fit the double pane glass. So that'll
Okay.
be just a little bit nearer on the inside.
Are those the original?
These are the originals. Yes.
Yeah.
And look, these are pretty well made.
Yeah.
These are the original?
Yeah.
These
old
are the
ones.
original
Wow.
ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Morrison tenant and
The strips will go around, let's see if I can pass it through. Okay. To frame it up on the outside. I hope I got these right. I might have them backwards.
yeah, this one, I think these are the centerpieces. You think if do they have?
Yes,
one?
the
This is-
frame them out.
Yeah, this will go all the way around
Right.
the outside and then this will
And on
come
the
in.
inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be the double edge that goes and it
But
sticks
that'll be
back.
a solid piece of glass.
Yeah. This will be
No.
one big piece.
Yeah.
You're not gonna put little squares. Yeah, this piece will fill the whole
Yeah.
glass.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then what is it, do they put three or are they just gonna have one?
It's going to match what is there now.
Nothing there now.
The drawings are quite plain on
Right,
that.
and he's got
Yeah.
some
Yes.
extensive
Yeah.
drawings in there.
Right.
On the exterior, they've taken out the bars. They are going to remake the bars, but they will swing out so they can actually get to the window and clean them. But they will replace the bars
I'm
that are
glad.
there.
Now,
I'm-
is this just for the windows or is this for the bars, like it states here, for the bars and the windows?
The bars and the windows, yes.
I think,
This is for the project that BNS is doing.
right, I've had a bunch of citizens talk to me about these bars. Some of them have held on to them from the wrong side of the bars and it's kind of sentimental to everybody. I'd like to see some drawings, some serious drawings of the bars, because
everybody that grew up in this town knew them bars, and one day they disappeared, and it raised a lot of bad stuff in the air. So I know they got some nice drawings of the sash and the windows, but I don't see nothing of the bars. And I think the bars are very important, that they don't turn out to be, they were like 1.25 inch bars.
Yeah.
I don't know who
And
gave
you're
us
right,
permission to cut them down and get rid of them.
as soon as they came down, boy, people started talking.
And you'd
Yeah.
think they would have
Yeah.
had to ask for permission to take them down, but somebody says that building has nothing to do with the historical district. It's a county building, and it really got stinky, so. And then somebody told me that the bars couldn't be made. They were so old. No, we've got an excellent blacksmith that can make just about
Yeah.
anything.
So
So
the bars weren't on all of the windows.
They weren't,
No,
were they originally? I would think that they.
This
they
is
were,
experience, man.
they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
from the period when it was used as a
As a
jail.
jail,
yes.
yeah.
Yes,
the windows that were in the jail.
But there was some administrative space in the building, and the
In-
bars
in the
weren't necessarily
front-
on that.
yeah, on the
Right.
right-hand side, if you go in the front door,
Right.
to the right, that was office space.
Yep.
Never having been in there when it was a jail.
Some knew how many bars were in that jail. didn't they?
Exactly how many bars.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to see a lot more detail on the bars instead of just saying replacing the bars with hinges so we can open and wash the windows.
Is that their
Yeah.
intent, to put the bars back in there?
Not the original bars, they're gonna have them remade.
But I think
And it'll be one unit that will swing.
Will swing. And it says to make them as close as, to be replaced and hinged to wash windows. Door will be to look as original as possible. But without any kind of drawings, it leaves us
So
with
how
nothing.
it will be done.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we can come up with pictures of the old bars.
Yeah.
And I just think it's real important, more important than the windows, because I know they got experts making these windows, Dick and them are very good, but the
Mhm.
bars, I think they need a lot of attention.
Well, we could approve the windows, I guess, and hold off on the bars
Yeah,
until
they
we
need to
get.
the windows in for,
You think that would be possible?
weather.
Mr. Chairman, to just
Isn't
approve
that
the,
basically all the asphalt bars?
Well,
No, they've
No.
got, they've got
They
the
want the
bars.
bars too?
We don't want to slip here and approve.
And
it.
make new
There are
or
three
needed.
elements to this, as
Yeah.
it's written. There are the window sash, which I think we discussed pretty thoroughly, and we have some very good drawings on those.
Yes, indeed.
There are the
Yeah.
bars, which I think if we find one of the old ones, which were on the building, that someone should know where they are.
The bars?
Yeah.
bars.
And make sure that the new ones somewhat duplicate the old ones. And the door. Now, the door, we have no information as to what they want to do with the door, other than the statement that the door will be to look as original as possible, which
Oh, yeah,
is
We need to
pretty
have a say
vague.
on that.
yeah.
So either we table the whole thing, or we allow the windows that we,
I think for the purpose of expediting the project, we should go ahead and approve the windows and ask for another submittal on the, or
Doors and-
clarification of submittal on the doors and the bars. It's your decision.
Well, I'd like to make a motion then to accept the windows as presented, waiting to see on the door and the bars.
Second that.
with the sashes, the windows and sashes.
Windows and sashes,
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
windows and sashes. Because I think they look really great.
I think you did an excellent job there.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Me.
Could you repeat your motion? so we
Okay,
get it right?
that we would accept the windows and sashes and the jams, because they have that we approve those and wait to see further plans on the door and the bars.
And
That-
who seconded that motion?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the windows and ask for further information on the bars and the door. Any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Citizen input, we have no citizens here to participate this evening. Other business.
We have to schedule the annual retreat, and
I have a military background. Retreat means something.
let me
We don't
restate
retreat.
that.
He runs out and runs.
Yeah. The annual work session.
What is that? Is
I-
it here? Is it, do we go away
We,
somewhere? or
we
what?
had, in the past, last year, we went to the Southern Hotel to have our retreat. I had already looked into the possibility of using the Kiel Schwen House and have permission to use that from the Foundation for the Restoration of St. Genevieve, so that's a possible place, and I've also offered to use my house if anybody, would rather do that.
Well, the Kiel Swamp would be very appropriate. I mean, that's a
Mhm.
good meeting room.
It
It'll
is.
accommodate us with no problem the size of it.
Right.
And we certainly won't be bothered by through traffic.
No. So now it is.
Is the date.
It's the date. That's the easy part.
Does anyone have any suggestions on that? I haven't thought about it.
Keep it away from a Monday for sure.
Is it just like a regular meeting, or
It-
is it an
it's-
all-day thing? or-
Last year it was all day. We met in the morning, and then we had lunch, and then we had some follow-up meeting in the afternoon.
Basically to look back on the goals that were set last year and set goals for the coming year.
We certainly need time to prepare for it so that
Mhm.
we have a decent agenda and we don't waste time.
Right.
Because there's enough to discuss, there's enough issues that to be discussed that unless we have a pretty good agenda set up, we can waste a lot of time.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't recommend that we have it for a week or two anyway.
The third week in March, I know in the past that Jan has a better time on Wednesdays or Thursdays as opposed to Fridays. So, but I don't know what any of your schedules are, what your time frames are. But looking at my calendar, either a Thursday is better towards the end of March, or Wednesday, those last 2 weeks of March is okay with me, but I don't know how many else up to.
Yeah, it's sprung on me pretty soon. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll take me a week to figure out where I'm at. So maybe I'd say next meeting, but then we're there.
Yeah.
Well, let us set a tentative date, and then if there's anyone that can't make that date,
We can
call in
accommodate.
to Brenda, and
How's it,
if
is
need
there
be,
a
we'll
better?
adjust it.
I'll go with the date you go with.
Yeah. Frank, do you have,
You set a date, I'll see what I can do.
okay. Jamie, you have any particular,
It has to be after the 14th, just because of requirements or things that I need to do for school.
okay.
But, I mean, Wednesday or Thursday, I can make it work. It has to be after the 14th.
And I'm saying that for Jan without him having said that. I just know
Right.
that has, in the past.
Look at her. She's got a date book.
Well,
I can't make any decision without looking at this.
I have another calendar in my car that I should have brought in.
Yeah.
The big one, huh?
Is that the real one?
Yeah.
Well, there are things that I've been tentatively scheduling.
How's the 21st or the 22nd? Does anybody,
What day is, Wednesdays and Thursdays?
Wednesday and Thursday of that third week? We should meet on the 19th for our regular landmarks meeting on the
Let's do the
19th.
22nd. The 21st is my birthday.
Oh,
We
don't-
can have a celebration.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Yeah.
21st has
We
been
could bring
suggested.
wine.
Mhm. And
We can still celebrate.
she suggested
And
the
agree,
22nd.
some agreement.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that has an objection to the 21st?
It's her birthday, that's why she wants to move it to
Oh.
the
Her
birthday.
22nd, yeah.
We're gonna all sing happy birthday.
Birthday,
right.
yeah,
Wine and cake.
And Vicki will bring the cake.
yeah. Oh, wait a minute, yeah, no. So how about the 22nd,
Let's do the 22nd.
22nd.
okay?
There you go.
Okay, I think
And
that
you
seems
can't
to
make
be
it.
agreement, the 22nd.
So what do? We meet at that house at 8 o'clock?
8:30, I think that's what,
That's what
I think that's what we did last time. And,
And in the meantime, I'll work with Brenda to try and come up with an agenda on this. And if anybody has items that we feel should be on it, please call me or Brenda, preferably Brenda.
okay.
I do have one I would really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
You guys visiting, and that's the contributing buildings to the contributing buildings.
Okay.
If we have one, you know what I'm saying, if we got
Right.
one house that's not necessarily historic, it's not on the, but it's an old building, and you know,
Well, we
you
could-
got brick homes around it, why,
Yeah.
obviously that doesn't, in other words, that whole block shouldn't be coming under a contributing. Just visit
Okay.
it, discuss it, and
Okay.
kick it around, running up the flag, see who salutes, you know.
I think it definitely should be an item of
It
discussion,
yeah,
because
really
it is
should.
an item of discussion in the community.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And our actions have to reflect what the community wants.
Right.
So yes, that will
Appreciate it.
definitely be an item of discussion. Okay, any other business?
Bring coffee with you in the morning, and then maybe we'll find something there.
Got a huge coffee pot.
Okay.
I never use it.
Oh, let me check, because we might have one down there if we've got, yeah.
That's something I'd like to bring up, it happened tonight. I'm still bothered about the bars coming off the jail. Before they started this project, was there any procedures they should have taken before they removed any of the historical significance to a building or to the area?
There's been a discussion going on between the city attorney and the county's attorney as to what requirements they are regulated by.
Because they're a different entity?
Because they are county, yes.
But they're in our district and they don't have to abide by our rules? Our historical district?
It's not unusual for government buildings to be exempt from those kind of things.
Okay, so
You would think they would want to comply and not be.
I don't
bound.
think they'd have a choice. I mean, they're in here, take your building out of the historical district if you don't want to be in here. I mean,
Well, that's
Yeah.
an issue we're not going to settle around this
No,
table,
no,
because it's been
no.
argued
no,
by
it was
attorneys for
explained to me
years.
now,
Right,
but
right.
I'm thinking, wow, it surprised me that they can do what they want and they're sitting right in the middle of our community.
And the
Now I know.
mayor felt that it would be good relations to bring in his project. So, and that's why he brought in the windows.
Wow. Now I know, they don't have.
And I want to congratulate the city and the mayor for
Right.
the good
Absolutely.
drawings and on
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
Absolutely.
windows. It's one
Especially
of the
if they
few
weren't-
times recently we've had
And-
good
Good.
information.
And we
to
don't
work
want
Yeah.
to, we don't want them wheels to come off the wagon.
No. No.
It's been rough getting there, well, not really rough, but
Yeah.
it's been mildly accepted, but greatly appreciated by the Board
Yeah.
of Aldermen, I can guarantee you that. Them and the special road districts and all of us working together, it's been good to see us all.
They have come to us for other things in the past, the
Yes,
county has.
yes.
I just didn't know
And
that they
then-
were exempt. I didn't know that.
They haven't.
Wow.
So, Okay.
Appointment of committee members, we want to do that tonight or wait until after the retreat?
This week till after the retreat.
Okay. Both of these after her.
Oh. There's a number of committees,
That'd be something you could put on your agenda for the
but
retreat.
that's what I was gonna suggest. That's something we
Yeah.
put on the
Yeah,
agenda.
that gives everybody a little more time of
Right.
maybe volunteering for something rather than being
Yeah.
appointed.
All I wanted,
know what
all I wanted to
volunteering
do
for.
here is tell you what committees have been in the past. There's a design review committee known as the ad hoc committee, and that's something, the whole concept of that needs to be discussed. I think there's some
I think so.
disagreement with that. Whether or not they should have the authority to review, because by merely reviewing, it almost constitutes approval. They're forbidden to give for approval, but
Yeah.
once they've made a decision and it's known, you don't go against it. And then there's a website committee, incentives committee, tree ordinance committee. Background, what is that on? Tree ordinance.
That is the ordinance that Alderman Larry Marlar had wanted the committee or the commission to look into, and there was actually the committee formed to look into forming a tree ordinance.
But
And
there's
there-
never been an ordinance.
No.
No.
But don't we have a copy of the ordinance from Aurora, Illinois? Is that where I was thinking that it was, that
Okay.
about,
And then there's an education and public awareness committee. So think about those committees, whether you would like to serve on any of them, whether you have suggestions for either deleting some of them or adding committees. In most cases, I think you have more than enough work just to keep up with the projects that come in
Exactly.
yeah.
without adding committee meeting dates to it. But some of them are essential, I think, to get the order in line. Okay, any other issues?
Well, I would like some clarification on like the boundaries and, I mean, I know it's in here and I know there was a map, but why they were changing and like, I just don't get it.
That's something I would like to have you guys discuss in a retreat, because I got the list of properties from Brenda, and all I seen was section 7.
Was what?
Section 7. Every property's in section 7.
Well, section 7 is the section of nomination. The nomination is divided into different sections.
That would be something I think that needs to be discussed along with the H1, the H2, the H3, and the contributing buildings thing. I think that whole thing needs to be really tightened up to where.
Well, I'll tell you, at the last.
You probably think it is.
No, I agree. I mean, because at the last retreat, that was one of the first questions was from me. What is H1 and H2 and H3 and what are the boundaries? And that's when we found out how everybody had a different viewpoint and there
At least
was
now it's
no-
starting to get
Yeah,
cohesive. That's a good thing.
Brenda has come up with a letter, I think was handed out at the public meeting. Read that, it gets you a pretty good background.
Yeah, it does.
There are more details
Yes.
that need to be filled
Right.
in.
And-
Brenda gave me a pamphlet that I've been reading over, and now it's starting to sync with me, and it's pretty clear. I mean,
Yeah.
now it's making to me sense where I think I can defend it in front of people. It's all in that.
Exactly.
I don't know if everybody got what I got.
No,
but
I think,
Tonight was probably the 6th time I've read it, and now I'm starting to see what the overlap is, the registered national compared to our, it's
Yeah.
all making sense. Half of it was for the French,
Can I get
the
that?
pre-1800s.
Yeah,
It's pretty easy,
You'll get
Phil.
caught.
You need to read it. It'll answer a lot
I
of your
did.
Well,
questions.
the landmarks,
I
yes,
wasn't
the
asking for me, I
landmarks
was
was,
for the general public.
Right, and
Right.
we're ready to meet them again, I think, with a little bit more understanding, because once you read it, like I said, tonight I read it for the 5th time. No, it's a lot more than that. You gave me a
Well,
big,
yeah,
It
the
was a real good-
landmarks nomination was
You're
based,
talking about the design guidelines?
no, I wish
was
I brought
based
it with
on
me.
a cutoff.
It talks about the overlap, why there is an overlap, what is H2 and H1. I don't know why we had an H2 before we had an H1, but one is national, you know, the national
One is-
houses they picked out pre-French colonial, and then the 18 into the 21st century that have a significance to all the Americans. It got real clear.
The Landmarks Commission, which is the most exclusive, and there's about 50 buildings nominated in the last nomination. Those have a date span of, from the first building, which is probably 1790, something
Yeah,
like that.
1785 or so.
Up to, I think it's 1835.
That seems
Anything
right.
beyond that is not considered. Then the National Register starts at the beginning, but continues on through till 1950. Not every building that was built before 1950 is on that register, but we hired a firm to come in and make that survey. It was made, and in their judgment, the buildings that are on it should be on it. Now, there's a great number of buildings on it, and there's bound to be some disagreement in the community about how strict it should be. But we certainly don't try to enforce anything beyond 1950, because it's not on the register. Now, there are historic districts. These National Register properties are within historic districts. And if you happen to have a 1960 house in a historic district, then the only requirement that the board has considered, and this hasn't been, I don't know whether this has been our official policy, but the way it has worked is that all we demand of those buildings is that they do not detract from the historic aspects of that streetscape. They don't have to meet firm rules on restoration. Did I clarify it or muddle it?
No, it's a lot easier, but
Yeah.
Gives you a little more.
it's just, I guess it's hard because of the way that the city, like, okay, like when I go to the hospital and I see these pictures of the town, I have no idea where that even was.
The what?
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and why aren't they still there? Some of
Yeah.
them, yeah.
And because of that, then I look at certain things and I'll figure out, well, there's somebody built a house there. Why'd they tear down that cool building? But since that's not there, what does it matter? I mean, as long as it looks like the time period that house was built in, I guess. I don't understand why some of the people can't put something that I guess would make their house look like it was built in the 50s, or make that house look like it was built in the 70s, or whatever on these, And I know it's next to an old, like the brick house next to the Bolduc house. But I don't, just like I think a lot of people in town, they don't understand why that, looking at that house, I'm thinking that house is built in the
It is on the
50s or
National
60s.
Register as a contributing structure. That's why it's not because it's next to the Bolduc house. It is on it, it is
So
a
how
Oh,
old is
this-
that house?
That's probably
1935, I think.
That's what I was thinking,
Oh, it is?
late
It's a
20s,
question
early
mark.
30s.
It's a
But
type of
that's-
Yeah.
architecture that was important at that time period. That's why it's.
Oh, because of that type of architect, I got you.
And they've also asked that no new homes be built, like a new brick home or anything like that in the H1 or H2, if it's associated with a bunch of contributing buildings around it. In other words, if you've got 5 buildings on a block built in 1920, they prefer you not have a brand-new brick home around all those, and is that not your feelings?
No,
Not
I
necessarily.
don't agree with
See,
that at
somebody's
all.
going,
I don't
yes,
think that,
no.
I don't think
Yeah.
that is the intent. The
don't
intent
either.
is that it be
We just
compatible,
built
not
Compatible.
identical.
Yeah.
Historic district, and they
And
asked
you
that I
can,
would
with a
put-
good architect, can
Yes.
make anything compatible.
Yes. I just built one in the historic area, and they wanted my pitch of my roof to confide,
Yeah.
they wanted my windows to have the 3 over, one, and, yeah, they looked at it. You're gonna find out that the Landmarks is blamed for a lot of building code violations, and if you get the true, I was defending this man down here, and then when I got the true story of what happened, he applied for vinyl siding and keeping his windows. Well, he come back and he wanted to wrap aluminum around his windows and put vinyl windows in. And they turned him down. Well, and all you hear is he's not allowed to have vinyl windows. But he wanted to wrap those pieces with aluminum, and he didn't get a building permit in the beginning, so it really gets heated up. But when it gets to us, everybody's blaming us that we didn't allow it. But if you look into it, I don't think the young man you're talking about got a building permit, and he just started doing it. Well, he's violating things there, and then it gets to us, and they use us to, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot more to what's going on.
Well, I mean.
That's one of the reasons we
Yeah.
have this day-long meeting, is to try and bring some of those issues up, and we
Yeah.
appreciate everybody bringing them up, because
Yeah.
at that, we can really hammer it out and try and get understanding. It's not necessarily that we'll get total agreement, but we should at least get understanding
Yeah.
of what
At least the
what
commission will come out with one point of view,
Yeah,
Right.
and that's what's important to the public.
And then when it comes to vinyl siding, you can reach back and pull out a piece of paper and stay consistent with it. If it comes to a roof pitch, we can be consistent. And I think that's where the city, the residents are all screwed up, because they look here and they look there, like, I had no idea that that building down there doesn't have to go by what we say, and it's in our district. I found out tonight, so that stifled me. I'm quiet now about it, but I was raising a lot of,
The one next to the building.
no, the jail.
Oh, the jail.
But they didn't have to go by landmarks or anything. They could, but they're being nice enough too, And I know old windows, that there's a masterpiece, that window. That is amazing.
Well,
That
And
should
if
go
you
in a
close look
museum.
at how that's constructed, it's really.
That
And
should
that's
go in a
why-
museum.
Why we hate to see wooden windows that are old growth wood, so it's a denser wood, and you see these
Oh,
windows
that's-
that just need a little bit of glue in the joints
That's
to
mortise
put
and
'em-
tenon and
Yeah.
pinned with a wood pin.
Right.
My goodness, that is,
Right.
It's craftsmanship.
Mhm.
yeah, that is.
Exactly.
I'd want to
You see?
varnish those and not paint them.
Yeah.
okay, is there anything else to be brought up?
I do have a copy of last year's CLG report, if anybody, I'm not going to copy it for everybody because it's too thick. I've already killed enough trees for this month, thank you. So if anybody's interested in commission activities,
What is it?
our
The
CLG
CLG.
report that I sent into the state.
And that,
Everything the commission has done the last 2 years.
okay. And isn't that April 21st when they're having the training in Jeff
Yes,
City?
The next commission forum in Jeff City. And it's always good to get together with other commissions. It's commissions throughout the state and staff members. Everybody who shares the same problems and issues get together and try to brainstorm. And they always have good workshops and
Yeah.
good presenters come in and talk about things.
And the speaker is speaking on vinyl windows.
Yes. It's a
Okay.
hot topic everywhere.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.